I was arrested and interviewed under caution. I haven't spoken about this yet, about 3 weeks ago. And I'm waiting to be charged for the crime of online communications, crime of speech. On my Katie's Arms, my pub, where I just, let rip, whatever, I called myself a spaz. And I got arrested effectively by British police because that's offensive.
Jesus.
It's demonic.
Place.
Yeah, I'm waiting to find out if I'm going to be charged.
What on earth is happening in the United Kingdom with free speech? We know things are really bad, right? But when Katie Hopkins reveals that she is arrested, questioned by the police, and now facing a charge because she described herself as a spaz in one of her videos at the Katie's Arms, you know things are really, really bad. I'd actually known that Katie was facing this for some time, but respected the fact that she wanted to fight this confidentially and get through the Unite the Kingdom rally before she was able to take some time in the United States of America. But I am disgusted that after the establishment and the deep state driving this woman into the ground over so many years, just as her comeback is succeeding, just as she's selling out venues all across the country, they come for her over something so spurious, something that is so clearly a joke. Here's how Katie chose to reveal the news with the now independent US journalist Lara Logan.
People to laugh at the things you're not allowed to say, because I can just about get away with saying them now in the guise of comedy. And it's a fine line. I was arrested and interviewed under caution. I haven't spoken about this yet, about 3 weeks ago. And I'm waiting to be charged for the crime of online communications, crime of speech. For my Katie's, I do a pub night online called the Katie's Arms.
I love the Katie's Arms.
So I've been arrested for that.
I see.
Because of what I said on my Katie's Arms pub.
You know, when you talk about that, the role of a comedian, it reminds me of the role of a journalist. Because when I was growing up as a journalist, we didn't expect to be liked by the government, and we always got complaints from the audience. And you were sort of, and the mantra was, if you're hated by everybody, you're doing something right. If everybody's unhappy with you. And then suddenly along the way, we became crowd pleasers, I don't know. And, so you want to, I've got to get access to the president. So therefore, I've got to stick my head up as, you know what.
Hold the line.
Yeah. And if the White House calls after the bulletin yelling and screaming at you, your editor's going to capitulate. No, in the old days, that wasn't like that.
It was then in another sit down with the cancelled but brilliant American comedian Roseanne Bar that Katie actually revealed the word spaz led to this arrest.
I'm a proper spaz. And actually, it's the last thing I got hauled into the police station for in the UK just before I got here. I was told I would either be arrested or I had to turn up for interview under caution, was because on my Katie's Arms, my pub, where I just, let rip, whatever, I called myself a spaz. And I got arrested effectively by British police because that's offensive.
Jesus.
It's demonic.
Place.
Yeah, I'm waiting to find out if I'm going to be charged against the Online Communications Act for calling myself a spaz.
I'm so terrified of going to the UK. What would happen to me?
Never do it.
I don't know why. Honestly, why? I mean, I would love you to be there, but why would you go?
No.
Honestly, when you live here,
terrified. I would go, but I'd put a big piece of tape on my mouth so I could never.
Well, they can arrest you for tweets you did.
Oh,
never tape your mouth. Your mouth is needed more than ever.
And so is yours, Katie. So is yours. But isn't that just so shocking that you have Roseanne Barr quite rightly describing what's happened to Katie Hopkins as demonic, but then saying that she would be too terrified, those were her words, too terrified to come to the UK. But it's not a surprise, is it? Given what we've also seen happen to Graham Linehan, the Father Ted creator, arrested by 5 armed cops for a series of tweets. Now, Katie has revealed her statement to the police, which was made in August. I believe it's incredibly powerful, and they would be absolutely mad to take this any further. Watch. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
It's Tuesday, the 5th of August here at Exeter Police Station, and I, Katie Hopkins, state as follows. I have attended this interview under protest as I was threatened with arrest if I did not attend. I consider this interview and the police investigation to be an unlawful interference with my right to freedom of expression pursuant to Article 10 ECHR Human Rights Act 1998. I reserve my position in respect of any actions I choose to take, including but not limited to a formal complaint and claim for damages against Devon and Cornwall Police. I run a comedy pub night called the Katie's Arms, live on my Instagram at 8 p.m. on Fridays for 30 minutes. I started the Katie's Arms during the idiocy of COVID lockdowns in order to help people struggling with their mental health. The Katie's Arms is now an international community of people wanting others to live their best life, laughing with me and at me. My audience choose to join me on my Instagram channel live. If anyone was offended, that is their choice. I do not republish or upload this content. It is ridiculous that my comedic speech is subject to a criminal investigation, and as such, my presence here is ridiculous. I will not answer any questions. And that was my statement to Devon and Cornwall Police today.
Bravo, bravo, Katie. Absolutely incredible. But I am just so disgusted that this is still happening. And that Starmer just lied to JD Vance in the Oval Office and to Donald Trump at Turnberry by saying we've always had free speech in the United Kingdom. I'm sorry, if Katie Hopkins wants to call herself a spaz, then she can call herself a spaz. You can be offended if you want, as she says. But to waste police resources on an investigation into that, nuts. Also nuts, by the way, and politically I don't agree with the man, but we've always got on very well, is this detainment of George Galloway, also at an airport. Bernie Spofford revealed the story this way. Alternate views are unacceptable. George Galloway and his wife were detained at Gatwick Airport under Schedule 3 of the UK Counter-Terrorism and Border Security Act. We can do border control if we want to. And George Galloway has responded in a manner that only he can.
Will never succumb to the death of freedom and liberty in my native land. To hear the words spoken by an armed policeman, his jacket off so you can gaze at his sidearm, that you are not under arrest, but you are not free to leave. To hear the words spoken, you do not have the right to remain silent. To hear the words spoken, that if you do not comply and cooperate and answer any and all of my questions, you will be automatically committing an offence under the Act. That's when I really knew that liberty in England, in Britain, in this once proud democratic country, a country that for many centuries boasted of the Magna Carta, many centuries boasted of its reasonableness, of its moderate nature, and castigated all others around the globe for falling short of our standards. That's when I knew that we as a country are in serious trouble.
I mean, we are. We are in serious trouble. To my superstar panel, Based and Bougie and Steph, the alter nerd. Steph, look, the fact that Katie Hopkins has been arrested for describing herself as a spaz, she is a comedian, is just insane. The fact that George Galloway is the latest high-profile person to find himself detained at an airport for his speech is insane. But it feels like as long as Keir Starmer continues to gaslight the American administration, people are not taking this seriously enough. But first, as I've entered my 40s, aging has become ever-present in my life. My body doesn't back up the way it used to, and I've found that it's far easier to get injured when trying to work out, far harder to recover too. But I believe one of the best aging breakthroughs of the last decade is Qualia Senolytic. And I'm going to explain why. Senolytics are a science field revolutionizing human aging. A big culprit behind that middle-aged feeling can be so-called zombie cells that linger in your body after their useful function, wasting your energy and resources. Now, those zombie cells can lead to less energy, slower workout recovery, joint discomfort, and basically feeling old. Now, Qualia Senolytic is a groundbreaking, clinically tested supplement with 9 vegan plant-derived compounds that help your body naturally eliminate these zombie cells, helping you feel years younger in just months. But here's what I absolutely love about this product. You take it just 2 days a month, helping your body naturally eliminate zombie cells to age better at the cellular level. Now, since taking Qualia Senolytic, I've felt like I've turned back the clock. I have higher energy, less soreness after exercise, and a big boost in productivity too. That all equals feeling so much better. So experience the science of feeling younger by going to qualialife.com/Dan for up to 50% off your purchase. Use the code DAN, that's DAN, for an additional 15%. So that's QUALIA life.com/Dan for an extra 15% off your purchase. Your older self will thank you. And by the way, thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. Now, let's get back to it.
I disagree with you, Dan, on one thing. Yes, Keir Starmer is trying to gaslight us by turning around to, the American administration and saying, no, we still have free speech. We still have free speech. Donald Trump knows what the score is over here. So does JD Vance. They see right through his lies. I'm sure of it. Even though I do not agree with George Galloway and his politics, I do support him in this situation. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he was detained under the Terrorism Act for what he's been saying. That is just an absolute misuse of the act. It wasn't what it was intended for when it was first set up. Going over to Katie Hopkins and what's going on there, I actually have a little bit of a personal kind of link to this. Why? Bear with me. For the first 4 years of my life, from when I was born up to the age of about 3-4 years old, I didn't speak at all. Wow. I was classed as having delayed speech. I went to a special needs school for the first couple of years of my life. I was then put into a Church of England school. And up until I was about 10, 11 years old, I actually had a special needs coordinator. Only recently, earlier on this year, was I finally diagnosed with autism. So, to Keir Starmer out there, to the police Stasi out there in the dictatorship, I'm a spaz. And if you want to come for me, do you know what? You can try. I dare you. I dare you. And I'll say it again for those in the back. I am a proud spaz.
Well, God, you should be proud because, Steph, my God, I didn't know that. The fact that now you make your career out of your speech is just extraordinary. But I think sometimes, we have to be able to laugh at ourselves, right? And use that language. But Based and Bougie, even if, Katie was calling someone else a spaz, surely she shouldn't be arrested for that. I mean, I think about police prioritization and the fact that in these particular areas based in Bougie, about 95% of burglaries go unsolved.
I can't make sense of this country anymore. I can't make sense of where it's going. I can't make sense of how crime rates are through the roof in this country. You can't even walk out of the house with your phone in your hand before someone steals it. But yet our police and our establishment wants to sit online and worry about tweets and posts and comedy shows. It's absolutely disgusting. Not only that, but it's disrespectful and unfortunate for someone like myself whose parents came here for its freedom of speech. Okay. Back in Congo, there wasn't a lot of freedom of speech. If you said anything against the government or the establishment, you could be jailed or killed. And now we're witnessing that right now in Great Britain. It makes me so sad because I absolutely love this country, but a little part of me just feels like I just want to leave because I can't make sense of it. I can't make sense of how somebody might face jail time because she criticized herself. And even the term spaz, I even searched it up right now. It doesn't relate to any community. It doesn't relate to a person. It doesn't come under any bracket. It's just something you use to describe yourself or somebody else. What do you even classify this? What kind of phobia is the term spaz? It makes absolutely no sense.
Totally.
I just think it's
but based in Bougie, let me put this to you as a black woman, because I would argue that no white person should be arrested for using the N-word, for example, because it's something that black people use all the time in songs. Now, that's not to say that I would go around using that word because I appreciate that people are offended by it, right? But I would view it still as a massive waste of police time. I just don't think our police should be patrolling speech. I think they should be patrolling violent crime.
And that's just what I was about to touch on. Like, look at all the rappers who use the N-word. Look at all the, reality TV stars that use the B word and the F words. Like, why aren't they getting arrested? Why are they only attacking Katie Hopkins? The reason why they're doing that is because they know Katie Hopkins is a threat. Whether it's through comedy, whether it's through The Apprentice, whether it's through her Twitter, she is a threat to the establishment. And for them to arrest her over the fact that she criticized herself, I don't think the establishment understands that they're not working in their favor. Because anyone with a bit of common sense, whether you're left-leaning or right-leaning, is going to look at that and say, something is not right here. And that's why I moved from the left to the right, because I realized that this left-leaning establishment isn't making any sense anymore. The left has gone so far left that the right has now become the center.
Yeah, you're so right. You are so right. Because actually, we've really, really got to be careful when we think about the fact that the left's priority, Steph, is to, for example, say that a Palestinian terror group should be allowed to have free speech, but Katie Hopkins should not. This is the problem. On the left, there's absolutely no sense of proportion when it comes to people on the right, but they absolutely do believe that their extremists need to have free speech. I mean, the other example, of course, are the artists Kneecap and Bob Vylan. Now, again, I'm pretty clear on this. I think they are revolting human beings, but I do think it is a waste of police time to look into them. But I also know, Steph, that if Bob Vylan or Kneecap were on the were on the right, they would be in jail right now. Seriously, like they would not just be being investigated, they would be in jail.
Yeah, they would. And anyone that says that there is no two-tier justice system in the UK needs to really have their heads examined. Because let's put it this way, right? Bob Vylan and what he said at Glastonbury, he was interviewed. Was he charged? Was he found guilty of anything? No.
I know, and most recently, I mean, he was literally calling for more assassinations like that of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. But you see people, to coin a phrase, on our side, right? Like Katie Hopkins, calling herself, not anyone else, but herself a spaz. And she gets hauled in, interviewed, and now she's waiting if she's going to be charged or not.
Oh no, it's a mad
And she
world.
called herself a spaz. You've got Ricky Jones last year, that Labour councillor, doing this. Death threats to us all. Gets found not guilty. Come on. For those that are saying there's no two-tier system, we're all equal, this, that, and the other. No. Open your eyes, wake the F up.
Yes. What a point to end. What a point to end it. Steph the Ultra Nerd, Based and Bougie. You have to follow both of these two. Subscribe to their brilliant YouTube channels. They are rising stars of the independent media. I love them both. It's Steph with an F, by the way, STEF, the Ultra Nerd, and Based and Bougie. Brilliant to have you both back on the Superstar panel today. Thank you so much. And of course, we will reveal today's greatest Britain and Union Jackass in just one moment. But first, to your feedback, and thank you so much, by the way, to Alex Marmon and Matt Rishi for the super chats today. Juliet Johnson writes, I don't get Starmer. Shouldn't he be trying to win back patriots instead of calling them racist? You would think so, Juliet. You would think so, but he's not a man with much political strategy, right? Sharon Ray, on the criticism of Unite the Kingdom, writes, I was one of those who marched, and it was lovely, and more like 3 million patriots. It was amazing. Slinky Sprat 78, referring to Starmer and the donkey field, the £20,000 donkey field. She says 20k is a lot of money to us, you entitled prat. And Helen O.D., who's been a member for 1 year, by the way, thank you, Helen, says, it's a bit odd, isn't it? My mum got her leg amputated, so I bought her a field. All right, then. The whole thing is odd. And let's just not take away the fact that he ended up making £280,000 for that little purchase. Scotty John says, Sajid can't made that speech, and an hour later, there's a massive knife fight in the streets of London. Yep, that's right. Diversity is our strength. And Rara says, look at the Notting Hill carnage every year. Killings, stabbings, attacks, guns, knives, drugs. Yes, really culturally diverse. Rara, remember, diversity is our strength. That is the line that he will stick to. And Kevin W says, Dan Wootton Outspoken is miles better than GB News. Keep up the good work, Dan. Don't go mainstream. Kevin, there's no chance of that. Thank you so much for all of your feedback. It's been so exciting to be back. I've missed being live this past week. Okay, let's get to our greatest Britain and Union Jackass now. A reminder of your nominees for the worst Britain in the world today. Slippery Starmer, nominated by It's Only Me 44 for pushing the UK into communist country with digital ID cards. Rachel from Accounts, nominated by Drew 59 Blue for saying that Labour gave their all to regain the trust of the British people. I mean, how delusional is she? And Unequal Core, nominated by Matt Cass 48 for saying that she will leave and move to India if Nigel Farage gains power. He says that's a powerful reason to vote reform, isn't it? And the results are in. In third position with 7% of the vote, Rachel Reeves. The runner-up with 10% of the vote, Unequal Core. But today's Union Jackass, the worst Britain in the world today, with 82% of the vote, it's Slippery Starmer. And today's greatest Britain is one of our own, Kaz Quinn, nominated by Darren Donaldson, who says our very own Karen, who live streamed from Liverpool yesterday, a true patriot who also attended London and Glasgow rallies, as well as being a contributor to X Spaces. And you can see there that Karen did broadcast, and this is so great, such brilliant independent journalism. And she said wonderful impassioned speeches from all the farmers who attended and travelled from all over the country. She told me that Montgomery Toms and Alan Miller from the Together Declaration did a brilliant job. And of course, you know, I'm a huge supporter of that organisation. And thank you so much to Karen, who I should say is also, amongst everything that she does, one of the moderators of the Dan Wootton Outspoken community on X. I would love you to join. We've got, let me just check, I think we've got 14,000 members now, which is just incredible. It's the Dan Wootton Outspoken Club. Yes, 14,000 members. And if you go to my X account, you can see it there at the top, the Dan Wootton Outspoken Club. And one of our brilliant moderators alongside Michael and Darren and Anna is Karen Quinn. And I am so grateful for that, Kaz Quinn. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.